Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker, and I'm your host. And I'm always looking for interesting people and people who are going to challenge you to think differently so that you can be more productive, so you can work smarter and not harder. And today I'm excited to have Jeffrey Klubeck with me. He's going to do that. He's going to challenge you. And we're going to talk about challenging the way that you think about and work around accountability. So Jeffrey Klubeck, he's now unretired professor of communication and author of The Integrity Game, which we're going to hear more about today, which is evolving into a comprehensive soft skills development company. And he's a world-class coach, and he's worked with entrepreneurs and high-performance teams in 12 countries across 4 continents. So without further ado, Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Penny. This is going to be fun.
For sure. Can I call you Jeff?
Yeah, whatever comes natural. Just don't call me late for dinner, that whole thing, right?
But I'm bummed.
Yeah. I got 3 kids, so dad jokes.
I was going to say the dad jokes. I was just going to say
I got it. Yeah, I got them all.
You got them all. Well, tell us, so you've written this new book, right? And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about. You know, accountability is a topic that is so important and so interesting. And I have my views, but before I share my views, I want to hear, why did you write this book?
There's so many reasons. It's multi-determined, right? There's a lot of why. As a matter of fact, if there was only one reason, it would have never gotten written. So, I mean,
but there's the whole thing about accountability right there, right?
Yeah. Well, if you've got one reason for wanting something, you might get around to it. But if you've got 6 or 7 reasons, you could be unstoppable. So it's really important to know the why of it all, and as much why as possible, because a lot of people die with books inside of them because there's not enough why to get it out. There's so many other reasons, right? But I mean, part of it was memoir. I had just lost my parents. My parents died 3 weeks apart. It wasn't COVID related, but it was during COVID, and they passed 3 weeks apart. It's kind of, thank you for the sorry, but it was kind of like a blessing. It was romantic. 2 for 1, right? Bury one, get one, BOGO, just to be really silly about it. You know, humor is a coping mechanism. But like, so the characters in the book are infused with qualities of my children. And so it was like memoir and therapeutic for me to work on this book. But it was also full circle type of, like when your parents pass, you're entering into some different area of your life. And I'm looking around professionally and what else is in step with this progression. And there's, as a coach for 15, 16 years, by the time I had started working on the book, accountability is a big part of my promise to the marketplace as a coach. And I have a lot of thoughts about accountability and how to deliver it and why people are afraid of it and how it shows up inside of coaching sessions. And I used to always say, I want to deliver hardcore accountability, but on a plate of I love you. And all these things came together. So what ended up happening is I was invited to do a keynote speak for the Specialty Advertising Association of California. I wanted to put something fresh and different on the list of topics beyond the usual suspects. So I put the integrity game on there just to make the list look colorful. And they said, oh, yeah, let's do the integrity game. I'm like, oh, no, I got to come up with a keynote now. So all of a sudden, all my thoughts about accountability and integrity came to me, and I came up with this 10-point model, developed the keynote, delivered the keynote. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is 10 points on the model. I needed 1 chapter and a closing chapter, 12 chapter. This is a book. And so started working on the book. And now it's evolving, like you said in the intro, into a comprehensive soft skill delivery mechanism. But the book itself is a parable. It's a made up story. And I consider it Trojan horse. In other words, it's very soft, very easy, non-threatening read. But what comes through is the 10-point model. And what the integrity game is trying to do at a high level is make accountability non-threatening. Because, Petty, you probably know, can't wait to hear your thoughts on this too, is that accountability will always feel like an attack when we're not ready to be responsible for our behavior. And then integrity becomes a word that people only use when they're accusing somebody else of not having it or somebody else of not needing more, right? So where's the integrity? There's no integrity. There needs to be more integrity. Okay, great. If that person right there that you're talking about, never mind the fingers that are pointing back at yourself, but if that person right there that you're talking about were to have more integrity, how would they go about getting it? How do we make improving integrity actionable? How do we make it tangible, actionable, strategic, stepwise, systematic? I don't know if there's any answers to that. So I'm trying. So here I am, super vulnerable, and I'm throwing it out there into the world. I'm saying, hey, world, I want to make accountability non-threatening, and I believe I know how we can increase accountability for individuals, teams, and organizations. So conceptually, a building, bridge, or tunnel will collapse under pressure tests without structural integrity. And I believe that individuals, teams, and organizations will also.
Yeah, so absolutely. Well, let me stop you for a second.
Yeah, please. I'm sorry. I
you can go on and on and on the whole time. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Let's come back to just the word accountability.
Yeah.
Because I also talk about accountability, and I say that we should stop focusing on accountability. That accountability, because there's different accountability. There's personal accountability, right? And then there's accountability within the organization for your role and your numbers, right? But accountability doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good personally. It doesn't feel good, right? It is a threatening word. So right there is we have to change our language. So I love that you're shifting the language.
That's right.
Telling us to look away, because it immediately has this like feeling inside that's like tight and like, oh, I'm going to be accountable for that. Like, it doesn't feel good. Integrity feels good.
Yeah. People want integrity. People associate themselves with integrity.
They want to be seen with integrity.
They want you got it. Right. And they want to shy away from accountability. But that's what's interesting. Like you said, he will challenge you. Yeah. When I'm public speaking on this, I ask everybody, how many of you believe you have integrity? 100% of the room will raise their hand. How many of you believe you have integrity? It's like, all right, now I ask, please keep your hand up and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear not to shoot the messenger. Because when we break it down, I have to find a soft and loving and non-threatening way to hold up a mirror and say, hey, look, you raised your hand, but you don't have answers to a lot of these key questions. You have integrity, but let's talk about it a little bit. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But yeah, Penny, you want to start by shifting the vibration of the term and the concept to even pave the runway for people to even get into the talk. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to go into, those elements and those questions that you ask people about integrity and how that's a way to show about how you get it. Right. So, but before I do that, I just want to throw in there. So I change the language too. And I say, stop talking about integrity and start inspiring ownership. Right? Look at ourselves. Like you said, the why, right?
Yeah.
So when we have such a compelling why, now we have an ownership where we're super connected to it. To me, when we're not accountable, we're not connected to it. It's an ownership issue. And when you have ownership, and I think integrity comes along with that, when you have ownership, accountability is a byproduct.
Yeah.
So
you want to be held
accountable. On the accountability, focus on the ownership, the thing that drives the other thing that you want, right?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. It's anything that feels pressed upon is going to press back somehow, some way, equal and opposite reactions. That's why another reason why I love the integrity game. And by the way, Penny, when we ask people, what does integrity mean? What do you think integrity is? Like when I don't want to offend any of my audience when I say, hey, don't shoot the messenger when I reveal that you don't have as much integrity as you think you do, or you won't raise your hand as quickly. But hang on. What are we talking about? Like, what do you think? Most people have a judgment-based understanding of what integrity is. So when I ask people, well, what is integrity? I always get two answers. I've done this.
Be your word, right?
That's one. Pin that on the board. Honest. You got it. Absolutely. Be your word. That's one answer I always get. Okay.
Yeah.
What's another one?
What's the other most common one? It's kind of do as you say. It's also
be your word. You're there. I'll help you if you need it.
One? It's
I know you know
the right
it's
thing.
Fine.
Do the
you
right
got it.
thing.
Bingo. That's the other. Do the same thing when nobody's watching as you would when somebody is watching.
Right. Okay.
Well, guess what? You're going to tell me, the organization's going to tell me what the right thing is. You're going to tell me what the right thing is. I'm going to resist anybody else telling me what the right thing is. And there's going to be some resistance to that.
Yeah, maybe. Not necessarily. Tell me more, because I'm
not necessarily, but anything that feels pressed upon might press back. Sometimes people come to us with the thing that we want. We still resist it a little bit. Like you were saying, ownership. It's more important. It's still external that comes in. So it's not organically starting off with ownership. I can embrace it. I can accept it. But if it's not coming from within, it's an external, and there's going to be some degree of resistance to it. Now,
I think the resistance might come so a good friend of mine, he says that everybody loves birthday cake until you shove it in their face.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
maybe
it's the way it's delivered, right? So there could be different reasons why resistance would be there if they're not buying into the goals that are set. So different.
Yeah, well, let's pin that on the board too. But let's come back to these two answers for a second, just for a
Okay.
second. Be your word. Here, I'm going to tell you what I love about these two answers. And I'm going to tell you what I don't like about them.
Okay.
What I love about the two answers, and I love getting them, first of all, it lets me interact with my audience and left side of the room and right side of the room, and you get your anchors, and you get names of people, and you get engagement, and you mix it up a little bit. But here's what I like. When we be our word, when we do what we said we're going to do, I'll slow down here, Penny, right? We're integrating our behavior with our word. There is a coming together of word with behavior. There's an integration. And then when we do the right thing, there's an integration of behavior with values, morals, or ethics. So in both answers, there is a coming together of two or more things. And in both answers, it's behavior is required. Behavior shows up in both equations. So I'm integrating my behavior with my word, or I'm integrating my behavior with my values, morals, or ethics. In either case, there's an integration. But I've asked all over the country, all over the world, what is the definition of integrity, or what's your definition of integrity? And not one person has ever used the word integration in their answer. So when you just talk about, look, like together or not together, there's no judgment there. It's just objectively observable. Is that together or is it not together? But most people, you weren't your word and you didn't do the right thing. People are sitting and waiting, like spring loaded, like a mousetrap, ready to judge other people, right? And so that's the vibration of judgment, even in those commonly understood and accepted definitions. Be your word and do the right thing. Okay. So first of all, I love that there's an integration and we get to focus on the same 6 letters that they start with, integrity and integration. It's right in front of our face.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. I want a thought lead on this. Right. Like I've asked hundreds, thousands of people, what's the definition of it's despite the fact they start with the same 6 letters, nobody uses the word integration. Nobody has that objective together or not together, integrated or not integrated, just an objective evaluation of the situation. It's always a judgment. Okay. Now, the other thing is behavior is the evidence of our integrity. Penny, how many times in the workplace or in our families or in our communities or in recreation, in the neighborhoods, I didn't mean to. Well, I was just trying to. Well, I was only gonna. Well, I was just trying to help. We judge ourselves by intention, but the rest of the world is just judging our actions.
Right. I think Stephen Covey said that, right? Or somebody said
I come up with a lot of stuff, but I didn't come up with that one. That's for sure.
No, I'm not saying, I'm trying to remember what it was a very clever, we judge ourselves by intention. We judge others by their actions.
Right. And vice versa is true. We judge others by their actions rather than their intentions. Right. And when we judge, we project what's right for us onto them. We project our words or what we heard them say rather than what they felt that they said. And there's so much lost in the shuffle that it's a moving target. It's smoke and mirrors.
Well, it's a lack of ownership. It's a lack of ownership. If somebody says, and that's why I come back to ownership, but it's totally integrity as well, right? If I said, well, I meant well, it doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what the result was. It matters how it was interpreted. And if you're going to own communication, you're going to own the result that you get, right?
Yeah. Behavior is the evidence of our integrity, not even so much the result. Results are great, and results of scoreboard is important for a lot of different things that we could talk about, but I'm not ready to even go there yet. I am in ownership of the action, not the intention. The action, absolutely. The behavior, the action, the observable action. What did you do? And so that's why I like these two answers, because one, it lets me to talk about the first 6 letters and the objective perspective on integrated or not integrated. And it lets me shine a light on behavior rather than intention. Mm-hmm. Okay. But here's what I don't like about those answers. Penny, if I told you or anybody else that I was going to drink 18 beers before my podcast interview with you today, and then I did what I said I was going to do and drank 18 beers before that.
It makes you in integrity.
We all know the answer is no. I can't claim integrity. Well, there's some smart aleck that's going to say, well, unless your goal in life is to, challenge your functional alcoholism. And no, we all know the answer is no. So What I want to say is word and behavior isn't enough, because I could just take the easy road out and say, I'm going to sleep on the couch 20 out of every 24 hours and then sleep on the couch 20 out of every 24 hours. I will have been my word, right?
Right.
But I can't claim integrity because there's other aspects. There's other things that aren't being integrated with that integration. And that's where we're going to talk about the 10-point model. I think there's 10 things we need to bring together. 10. And word and behavior, it's in there. Okay. But it's not enough. Now, the other thing, do the right thing regardless of isn't it a moving target? Isn't it context specific? Sometimes time is money. Other times patience is a virtue. Sometimes we should never lie, ever. And sometimes we got to put that elf on a shelf for 26 days and guilt our kids into good behavior.
Yeah,
You understand what I'm getting at?
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right? Sometimes if you never quit, you never lose. And sometimes you better know when to cut your losses. And right where you're at in the country, right? But assuming in the United States, we know that's 30% of our country can't even agree on who the president is or what's true in this world. So you're going to tell me what's right and wrong or good or bad or clean or dirty or civil savage or any of these adjectives that you want to project from your values, attitudes, beliefs onto me? Now, in an organization, it's different, right? Because you're an employer, you're going to work somewhere, and there's a certain degree of ownership or buy-in to that culture, to that mission, to those vision, to those objectives that you've signed up for. But that alone isn't enough. We need to integrate the goals of the organization or the institution with our own. But what people do, Penny, is they never decide, they never answer the tough questions for themselves. So with that emptiness, they then want to complain about everything else. And the integrity.
So what are some of those questions? Like, let's dig in, because unfortunately, we only have a short amount of time, and you speak really fast, so we can get a lot in. But but let's hear what some of those are and how people can.
At the top, questions of purpose. So the first rung on my ladder, if you will, the first loop that I string, or the first pearl that I string in the 10-point model, is purpose. And Simon Sinek's start with why, all the stuff. But what's the meaning of life? Do you have any concept of meaning of life? Do you value life, appreciate life? And then what's the meaning of your life? And people resist that because then they could be held accountable to pursuing their purpose if they actually declared what it is. Next, there's more questions there, but that's the first door to knock on, is purpose. Then the next point on the model is gifts. So I just did one word, gifts, anything different than the average, right? Below or above, right? Sometimes a disability is the gift that we overcome and achieve great success, or a failure is a gift, right? But mindset around giving and receiving, are you willing to give? Are you willing to receive? Then what are the sources of gifts? God-given, man-made, self-generated. And then that translates in a tangible level to competitive advantage. Why did you choose me to be on the podcast, versus any other potential guest? Why do you buy from me? Why do you work with me? Why do you want to hire me? What do I do better than anybody else? What do I do that nobody else does? So if I don't own and invest in and celebrate my competitive advantages, I might be out of integrity. Then if I know my purpose and my gifts, the third door that I'll knock on, and they don't have to go in this linear order. We could start anywhere in the model and go from there. But potential, right? So if I know my purpose and gifts, now I can imagine potential, and I break that down to vision, mission, and objectives. So vision, farthest out I could possibly see, describe that. Then mission, what's an accomplishment that proves I'm on my way to the vision? Now, what are my annual objectives? So it's a chronological time frame that I walk people through when we're working on potential and retreats and next year planning and all of that stuff.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to stop you there for a second.
Yeah.
So you've given us the top 3. We don't need to hear all 10 because they need to go get your book. So we're not going to give them everything.
Okay.
Right? We're not going to do that. And also, it's a timing issue. But I want to say, so these sound amazing, right? And I love the way that you're breaking them down and the depth that's in each and every one of them. It also feels, and I challenge people here too, right? It feels heavy. It feels like there's a lot. I'm now going to go through this revolution of deep dive. Like, it sounds like I'm going into therapy and I'm going to be spending a year, but there's 10 really deep things to go through. How do you reconcile that? Like, it feels like it's a lot to identify. Is there like a quick start? Is there?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a lot, but it's always less than a life without integrity. In other words, playing the integrity game and answering questions that give me ownership over where I'm going in my life is heavy, for sure. There's no way around that. But you want to know what's heavier is going through life without answers to these questions.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. Yeah. And if we can't get people to do one thing, right, then how are you going to get them to do 10 things? Yeah,
well, absolutely. Things in motion stay in motion. And that's why it's great. It's a 10-point model. So you can start with any point on the model. And, very, very, very easy way that we encourage people to get started is we offer 2 complimentary coaching sessions with an Integrity Game certified coach to walk you through the overall model, to understand the 10 questions and say, which one can you answer? Which one can you answer first? And then let's work on the others. But
so here's what stands out for me, because in my first book, I talked about it's the productivity zone, and there's 10 core drivers to get into the zone. So I can relate, and I did the same thing, 10 chapters, 1 intro. And so it was perfect. But what I do, and I could see this being relevant for people who are looking at your model, is I say, rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 on each of these areas And then take the one where it's going to be the biggest bang for your buck. Start somewhere simple where you know you need the greatest level of improvement, or it's the easiest starting point because it's going to make the biggest difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a great. There's multiple paths to similar destinations. I like that. We could do that with our model. What I've said to people is the integrity game is as easy to understand as it is difficult to play. So I make no bones about the fact that it's hard, because accountability is threatening when we're not ready to be responsible. And so we're trying to make it easy and fun to look within, to have answers to these 10 question sets. Then we'll run through a brick wall to find somebody to hold us accountable to what we really want, right? And so it starts with just understand what the questions are. Just start there. You don't even have to answer them. You want something easy? Just start with the questions. That's why the book is a business parable. It's a made-up story about a season ticket holder going to watch his son play baseball and meets an uninspired hot dog vendor. And by the end of the book, the guy's not slinging dogs anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm making it easy to get started. So the first step is, read a 136-page business parable, understand the 10 questions, then draft your answers to the questions, then see if your answers go together or dilute each other, see if they enrich each other or disempower, see if they go, right? Then be willing to talk to somebody about it and share your answers with somebody, because that's when you can be held accountable.
Fantastic. So I'm going to ask you just a couple of quick questions, and then we'll bring it to a close and you tell people where they can get the book and hear more about you. Mm-hmm. So I ask most guests this question is, so how do you define productivity and why?
How do I define productivity? Wow. That's a great question. I don't know if I have a definition of it. It's like a feel. Do I feel like I've been in action? Do I feel like I've made a difference, advanced my goals? I don't know about a definition, but it's a feel that I search for. I have a daily win practice where I write an email to myself and I'll CC my coach and I'll say, hey, tomorrow is Friday, February 23rd, and I'll win the day when I. And for me, when I could stop working guilt-free, doesn't mean I've done everything, because there's never enough time in the day to do everything, but there's always enough time in the day to do the most important things. If you lean on David Allen and getting things done, right? So to me, if I say to myself, all right, I'm not working anymore today, I want to be able to say that guilt-free. And I can only do that if I've been productive. When I go to bed at night, and say, all right, I'm going to go to bed right now. I'm going to go to sleep. When I make that decision that I'm going to go to sleep, I want to be able to make that decision guilt-free. I know that there's stuff going on. I know there's things I need to work on tomorrow. I know I didn't get to everything, but can I rest peacefully? I don't want to go to sleep. I want to rest. Mm-hmm. I don't want to stop working. I want to recreate, right? And so to me, it's the degree to which I can unplug from work or the day, stop working or go to sleep with a sense of guilt-free. That's, for me, that's the measure.
Okay, good. Everybody has a different definition. So that's why I ask it, because it's fun, because nobody answers.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. I appreciate the question. I love it. Did you see in my face how much I was loving
it? So tell us where people can get your book and find more about you.
All right. The Integrity Game is easy to find. The Integrity Game is on Amazon. So just search The Integrity Game on Amazon. If you want to get the book, I would invite any of your listeners to send an email to info@getaclue.net if they want a free PDF copy of it. I'm happy to share the PDF copy for free if they want that, and to make things easy. Yeah, absolutely. As a gift, for your listeners. And I'll even include a picture, front and back cover, in addition to the PDF version, because they're two separate documents in the file, self-published, right? But I'm easy to find. I respond to all my own social media. So Jeff Klubeck on LinkedIn, info@getaclue.net. I will ultimately see that email at some point. But if anybody wants a free copy of The Integrity Game, email us. If you want to buy it, thank you in advance on Amazon.com. And then if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn or any other social media platform, I'm very easy to get a hold of. And I'm grateful to hear from people.
Great. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Penny.
And thank you all for being here. I know that you listened. I know that you're thinking, I do struggle with this accountability thing. So I told you we were going to think a little bit differently. I want you to challenge yourself to see how you can, be owning the results, owning your vision, owning those things that are important to you, the goals at work, whatever it is, and do it through check it out, the Integrity Game. It sounds like a great way to really dig a little deeper and see, what is this challenge and why do we have this resistance towards holding ourselves accountable or holding others accountable? So that's where we are today. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.